Hello, beautiful souls. Oh, what a day. Freaking exhausted. It's so funny though. Sometimes you just gotta have that moment to speak the words. And then they're out of you, and then you're like, okay, I can lay down now. It happens that way sometimes with downloads too, or with channeled messages and stuff. It's like, I don't know. I know a lot of other readers that typically like they can get up in the middle of their sleep to do one, and I'm usually like, no, you come back to me in the morning. And I lose a lot of them that way, but I'm like, I like my sleep. I do. I like my sleep. Especially, I mean, my sleep's been a little bit weird as of late with the pirating, but I got my sleep schedule down, which is something that Rudy and I thought about all the time. It's so funny too, because he'd be the first one to complain about me sleeping in during the day, but he wanted to go to bed all super fucking late. And I'm like, okay. Like I get that you have this weird metabolism to where like you can run on 4 hours a night of sleep, and I get that the human body is incredible and it can do that. But my body, however, I'm like an earth sign, okay? Like totally, I have Capricorn stellium. I need at least 8 hours of sleep to be a person. Like you know what's funny? I used to say I prefer 10 hours a day. Nowadays, I'm actually good, like 7 or 8. I'm pretty good. I think once I started drinking a lot more water and having a lot more green and salad in my diet, it was like then it was way better, and like sleep was just a lot easier, especially when I started going back to the naturopath and getting away from the clinic doctors and the fucking that meds and shit. It's like, whoa. It's funny because you get it so that you can sleep better, and then it fucks up your sleep. Which it's always better to go back to the basics whenever you can. For those of you that watched my video about trying to escape a domestic violence system, there's another thing they want me to try, which I'm not opposed to trying it. Like I'm not happy with my parents right now. It's not a good situation. I'm constantly worried about the bird because my grandma's been violent with it before, and then just frustrating all around. But the officers that I talked to earlier were saying try to go through, it was like elder care services or something first. And so I did try calling them today. I didn't get through, but I'm going to call back tomorrow, and they should have some specialists that are trained to be able to spot when elderly people are pretending that everything is hunky dory. I have not heard great stories about a whole lot of it. I've worked as a CNA in places, but I didn't really have to deal with them so much. So we'll see how it goes. So I don't know. I'm just trying to mostly avoid them. And you know what? It's a lot more pleasant to think about my Cabbit, so I'm going to think about him. And it annoys the pirates, so like I get kind of a double thing in there, you know? And I know that even if he's totally mad at me right now, like even if it's like 20 years from now and he gets onto like YouTube Classic or something, he'll be like, yeah, yeah, that's my madam. And I'll still say I'll be doing whatever the fuck I'm doing, whether I'm sitting right next to him or I'm off on some adventure in the world going, yep, you know it. And you love it. Like, don't even try to pretend. Anyways, so what did end up happening though is I did end up getting a session with our old the therapist that we had for our couples therapist and solo therapist and who saw our sons, which he like cut out of because of course Tina couldn't stand him going to her, like she couldn't even let us get through the fucking parenting plan in there before she was like, I'm insecure about you going to counseling. It's like, oh my god, girl, you could have had everything you wanted if you would have fucking let him finish even just that day. Like, how many ways you gotta sabotage yourself? I don't know. I was telling the therapist, I was like, I don't normally say stuff like this, but I'm kind of being selfish right now. And it's like, it's really hard to be a smart person in a stupid people world. Yeah, I mean, and it's just like, it's not even meant to necessarily be a put down to anyone else. It's just like, I don't know. Sometimes you just hold your lady bunny and you're like, it's okay. I can be a smart person in a stupid people world. I can still love everybody. I can still be smart and let them not be as smart by choice. The thing that gets me is it's like by choice. Like you could totally like the system is what trains us not to like learning and shit. And it doesn't even have to be book learning or anything. Like everybody's got a way and a thing that they're really good at. it just sucks when those people they make themselves really good at manipulating and lying and like deceiving people. Like, come on, you could do so many. Like, if you could do that, you could do way fucking better things and feel way fucking better about it, have way better energy. But I don't know. What do I know about that shit, right? So, in any case, I got to thinking about there was something that is so funny. It was something that I thought to do on a whim like a couple of years ago because he'd been open to doing kink stuff, and I'm not going to go into a whole ton of details about that because that would be impolite. I can talk about certain things, and I'll talk more about other stuff on the kinky healing videos, but I'm not actually looking to embarrass my Cabbit. That's the irony. I'm sure that's what he thinks that I'm doing, and I'm sure, like, at first, whatever reason, everyone else thinks it's like a ton of romantic gestures. That's why I like to name these videos "Love Letters to Cabot" and then mostly talk about myself. Like, it's the best joke in the world, you know. And that's the kind of shit that he loves. That's the only thing that would kind of make it romantic. Like anybody else would think, like they don't see him as an individual. You know what I mean? They see all men as a certain way, sort of Neanderthalish, and it's like, no, like my Rudybug is very particular, like. And the funny thing is, like, if I tried to seduce him, he would, like, I can't say he would see all the way through it. I have tricks up my sleeve on that end that I could also do different things, but he's empathic and he's a cancer man. Like, that's the irony to me is like he is so fucking intuitive. Like he already knows what people are up to. That's why I freak him out because I'm not usually actually up to anything. But that's like Edward and Bella in Twilight. Like Edward's like I can't read her mind. What is she thinking that makes her more interesting? You know what I mean? It's like me and Rudy. It's like, wait a minute. She looks like a woman. She looks like a girl, a person, an androgynous woman, right? We used to joke about that, androgynous. But like it is like, and she seems to me she got all the right parts. She does the things, but she doesn't seem to think like them, and that's weird. And then like, what's funny is, I mean, I can't say even like like when we were in a relationship before that I was fully genuine because I was very codependent. So even though I was far more genuine than anybody else, I still was being disingenuous in many ways and didn't even know it, right? But like nowadays it's even better. It's like, no, I'm really like I'm telling you everything that's on my mind. But then he's got like 16 pirates all going, no, she's got to be thinking like us, and he's like going, I don't know what to do. It's like the shield on the mind, and I'm like, I'm literally telling you everything that I'm doing, everything why I'm doing it. Like I'm making it so easy. It's almost like the more I tell people exactly what I'm doing, thinking, or feeling, the less they believe me. And I'm like, it's hard to be a smart person in a stupid people world. Oh my gosh. I think that's some of the stuff I miss the most about with it was just sitting there, smoke a bowl after work, and just laugh about something stupid. Especially because we do both. Man, we used to get into such heated intellectual debates. That's one of the whole jokes about was it the hashtag why I'm still single? It's like, man, I can't have less than. I'm not going to go backwards. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go for less than I had. And really actually provided a lot, especially in the conversation department. Like, that's been my biggest challenge. I could go find an eggplant anywhere I want. I don't really, I mean, I did that when I was 15. That's actually how I met Rudy. Like, I did that. Like, I like that stimulating conversation and stuff. And it's there. But, anyways, so, I was thinking, though, about like, there was a thing that I brought up to him though. We were getting to kink, and it was called complete control dynamics, and we call it complete control. And it was funny because I was looking up like there's been a few websites, and I'd been looking up like what are easy like light, just after vanilla sort of kinks you could explore that guys really like. And I read some articles that talked about like well some guys really love it when you say you want complete control of them, right? And I mean I know my Cabot. I know where he's coming from. I know why he gets in with toxic women because he does. He's a sub, and and not a doormat sub. Like that's one of the things that gets me. I've looked at other subs, but a lot of guys they're like doormatty and whimpery and shit, and like he's not. He's very masculine. It takes a very, in my opinion, to be a good male submissive. You need to be very masculine. You can't be a fucking doormat. Like a dom like myself, a female dom, does not want something that's something someone that's like shriveling her right there. Like she wants some fight in it. You know, she wants some fight in him. A little fire in there. What you doing? I want you spitting piss and vinegar over there. You know what I mean? Like it's more fun for me that way. I don't know. Oh man. But no, it's funny because I remembered like when I went to look it up, it reminded me actually of like well before I met him, like when I was a teenager with my Scorpio Mars and my Capricorn Sun. Like I want to learn about all these things. What are these social cues of romance and teen dating and stuff like that. I remember getting a couple of teen dating magazines too and being like, ooh, like that's how I learned about Cosmopolitan. And I was like, that made me feel like a woman. It's like it was a 13, 14, 15-year old. I'm reading women's magazines while all my friends are reading 17 and Teen Bop. I remember my family kept trying to give me those magazines. I'm like, that don't interest me. I like older men. Like I wanted and not the like so funny. I had other friends that were younger than me that like they would I don't know, they just wanted money and to party and so they'd like go for crazy older men and I'm like, "No, I want to be romanced." That's why I like want older men. Like at that age too. I'm like the guys my age are one, they're covered in acne and two, they're like way less immature than me. And even back then, like because I'd been tested at 10 for like my IQ level, even then I knew that a lot of it had to do with that too. I'm like, it's just we don't have anything to talk about, but I was like, I want the older men that are they're gonna be more romantic. Like they know some things and like and also they're willing to take a little risk, obviously, but at the same time, like they're old enough to not want to take too many risks, you know. But it's funny because like I used to look up articles. I remember too, like it was after AOL, after the Yahoo chat rooms. I don't know, somewhere after that when articles started to somewhat be online. I remember because I was one of the first article writers, but like authors, but when it started to get into the article marketing boom, but like there was articles before that. That's how I knew about them, and I remember I would look them up about things, and it reminded. That's what made me think of the idea is like when it was like, oh, there's a go for exploring kink. All right, let's start at the basics. Like what can we do? Let's talk dynamics. And I love like negotiations and stuff too. He actually does too, but he's working on his growth opportunities in terms of being the one to bring up negotiations. He's made some beautiful growth on it, but I'm definitely the one that knows much more about negotiating. And so like for me, that was a lot of the fun of it. It's like yes, I want the scene, I want the kink itself, I want that, but I like talking about it and like I love it because we're polar opposites too. So like he's Cancer, I'm Capricorn, and so like the things that we want out of it are very similar, but they're also opposite. And I loved the synergy of like you want it that no, you wouldn't want it that way. Okay, do I want it not at all because you don't want it, or do I want some and we'll negotiate and then like oh like okay you like this and like wait a minute I know that you do like that. Why don't you want it? Oh, okay. There's a weird shame thing in there. I don't need to go there. Like that's just me. Like I don't know. I just fucking I like that shit. And then it's funny because that's part of like what got me into like thinking about the whole hashtag why I'm still single. I was thinking that could be some of my stand-up comedy routine when I get into that. I'm still doing some more studying there, but it's like we went through that and I told I decided I was like I'm gonna say I want complete control like over everything that would normally be covered by your t-shirt and your pants and shoes and stuff like that. Like I want complete control over that. And what was funny is it was so liberating because I've never said that to anybody before, and it was so funny to just be like I was thinking he probably would just laugh. Like there's been so much weirdness in his past with controlling women. I thought he'd be like, "Ha, that's funny," but he loved it. Like he loved it. We took it to therapy, and he like raved about how much he loved it, and that makes me think too. Is like I mean, like I said, like I'm available for other opportunities of dating. It's not a priority for me. It just hasn't. I think I'm just, I don't know, like they've never been like the largest priority for me. And also, I mean, come on, fucking like 20 years in a relationship. And then, I mean, I had been in relationships pretty much before that too. It's like, why am I in a rush to get into another relationship? Like, I ain't about to get myself hooked in with somebody just to be able to escape my shitty situation. Like, that's stupid. I've watched everybody else fucking do that, including Rudy, and it always turns into a disaster. Like, I'd rather sit in the mess here and figure it out, or run off in the car with the kid, or I don't know. Like, I'd do anything but repeating the same piratey shit. Like, no. And then on the other side too, it's like, look at that, like, complete control thing. Like, I don't need to share that particular thing. In fact, I probably would never would share that with anyone else. I don't even know that I necessarily want to do that sort of relationship like right now or with anyone. But if I was, it's like, see, I love those conversations. I love the banter. I love the push and pull. It's like not too much resistance, but a little resistance, and then like, I don't know, like I don't know. I think I'm torn somewhere between, like, I really just don't want to put that much effort into it. I'm enjoying my writing and my time with my oldest, and beguiling Cabbit while he has my Joey, and like healing and getting shit taken care of with my parents that's been neglected and shit. And then on the other side, it's like, I mean, it would be nice to have a date to go out to the movies with and go have dinner with, but then that's where we get the conversation because, like, I don't know, like, I don't need an eggplant when I have a vibrator at the moment. Like, I can, like, I would rather have the brain attached to the eggplant be of much higher value. You know what I mean? And the heart of it for even just a dinner date. I think that just lowers my motivation though. It's like, and also it's like so delightfully funny that like so many of the pirates and potatoes are like that becomes a part of their narrative of me like waiting for Rudy. Like, I mean, as I told our therapist and stuff, like, I'm open to all options. I'm not like in a place where I'm like, it has to be this or it has to be that or it has to be this. Like, that's a pirates game. I don't fucking need that shit. I'm open to stuff. If Rudy were available and he wanted to try again, why not? He's already grown a lot, and that's with like having like two blocks of cement on his feet and 100-pound bag of sand on his back, while a whole family's ride on his back, and it's his own and other people's, and it's like. I mean, that's pretty fucking impressive if you ask me. I'd imagine that once he gets out of that, he's going to grow a whole shit ton. But I'm also not in a place where I'm marking the amount of time. If information comes to me, I'm already journaling about the spiral cycles that I watch for a lot of people, and like he's a point to where I know what's going on with him because I know him so well, and so it like I put it in there with everything else. And it's just funny because that's another thing that I tell a lot of people, and they're just like, no, that kind of thinking can't exist. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I had that thought, so I'm pretty sure it does fucking exist. It's just because you're not in a place where that could ever be your motivation does not mean that it could not be mine. like I definitely am in the ranges of what you'd consider a data scientist, right? Like, I like the data. I like to know about it. But it's also in a place of like then other people be like, "Oh, so you don't care about him." It's like, no, I do. Like, but at the same time, it is possible to care about someone and be open to them, and even still have great loyalty to them without being in a place of either no, no, never again, or yes, yes, must be this. Both can be open. You don't have to be in extremes. Like, I can be in a place of like, I'm open to that shit he wanted, or I mean, and that could be fuck with me doing my healing with my emotions going out in the way that I know that it was like button right up against his shames and stuff like that, and like all of his fucking pirates took it as like, I don't know. It's so funny. It's like, I am healing. I'm doing what you said. I'm doing what you want. Like, I'm focusing on me and what's best for me. And what the fuck is best for me is one, my kid's dad not dying. Yeah, that'd be fucking nice. And two, is letting out all these nasty fucking secrets that I've been holding in and trying not to be myself and not to think the thoughts that I do because they might make other people uncomfortable. Like, it's for me. It literally is for me. It's so funny. I was thinking about writing writing another book that's like things that definitely do exist that most people don't believe exist. Like, and part of it is me. Like, I swear I could tell people till I'm blue in the face exactly what I'm up to, exactly what I'm doing, exactly why I'm doing and like all the things, and I could even like prove so much of it because I journal so much. And it's funny, it's like they're like, no, no, it can't be that. No. And you know what's funny? Oh man, that's what it is. See? It's because they're never telling the truth. That's so funny. There's a meme that came on a few weeks ago onto my Facebook page, and I was like, it's so true. It was if you listen carefully, people will tell you exactly who they are, and it's so true in so many situations. Like if you think about that, the only people who would really question you are people who are often lying. You know what I mean? Like they don't trust themselves and they're often making decisions based on like, will this person like me? Will it upset them? Will it not upset them? Will I be shamed? Will I feel good? Will I get that thing I want from them and stuff like that? And like I'm just over here like I'm just saying it cuz it's on my mind. Like I'm in a place of like, well, I wanted to heal from codependence and I wanted to be in a better place than where I was before cuz I'm never competing with anyone else. I'm not even really competing with myself, but I am sort of because I want to be each day. I want to be a little better the next day than I was the day before. It's a really simple, really nice process. Like, if you don't push too hard, you're not in a place of like beating up on yourself so that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't get a bunch of growth. But you're also in a place of like, yay, look at that. I did a little thing today. And that feels good. And that adds up, you know. I used to tell Cabbit when he first went out there, I'm like, hey, small steps are still steps. And that's one of my favorite memories too. I don't even know what was happening to my poor Cabbit. I so wanted to be like, you get back here. I don't like it. It's like having my Joey over there. I'm like, you don't, I know they're not being good to you, and I don't know what the fuck they're telling you to make you think that I wouldn't want you to run back over here, but I also know you need to heal. And you called in this weird fucking 360 shit, and I'm like, but like, it's so funny because I don't know what exactly he was going through, but I just went intuitively with it and just said, small steps are still steps. And he was like, thank you. It's nice to be recognized. And I'm like, oh, like, I know it is, isn't it? And like, I'm sitting over here going, see, I'm the one who recognizes you. You weren't actually supposed to run away into another person. You said you were going to do your house with the garage for you, and the boys would have a thing, and it would be you, and everybody was, well, everybody but your family and me were so surprised that you didn't do that. I'm still sad about that. I loved hearing him say my house. You know what I mean? I'm like, it should be your house. You get them dirty karmics out of there. It's not even that I need to be over there with you. I just want to see you have your own fucking house and your garage. I wanted to see how he was going to do it up. You know what I mean? Like, he had a moment. There was a breakup moment, but then the sister came in and fucking did shit. Oh my gosh, they're such fucking pirates. But like, he was going to get his guitar wall hangers up, and then, man, I'm so. Ugh, so many emotions, you know what I mean? And it's funny because I know that a lot of them are his emotions too. I don't even, it's so funny. Like, I don't know and I don't care in the sense of like, I don't have attachment to like, I mean, this could happen in an hour or this could happen in a year or 10 years. And I know when we get to talk about it, it's going to be fucking funny. It'd be like, I was so excited for you like that day. And you're talking about the boys can have space here and daughter can have space here. And I'm going to put my wall hangers up here and over there. And then at some point, he got the music room together before she stole it away from him again to have another fucking kid all up in there because she wanted to have more fucking money in there. I don't fucking know. But it's like, damn it. Like, that was going to be his house. That was going to be my Cabot's house just for him. Like, I swear, if he had his own house, rented or not, bought or not, and I just like, I feel like I could be happy existing in the world just knowing that he would be having the happiest experience of his life. If he, yeah, and I know he knows this is true, like he'd be in his own house and it would probably be the most minimalist shit you've ever seen. Like there'd be like a guitar in the corner on like a fancy square table that's reflective. I don't know if he still has those, but like something like that. There'd be a couple guitars around, I bet. It'd be like an empty house but with guitars on the walls and then on on square tables, and then there'd be like I don't know if he'd get a leather seat, a love seat again or not, but maybe like I bet you he'd go for like a green one, a forest green, probably like that. I don't know, but like he'd have like a very simple setup, Maybe a TV in the living room. He's probably fucking tired of TVs right now. Like, the people at his house go through so many fucking TVs. It's ridiculous. Like, really, y'all, you need to fucking learn some self-discipline. And not the iron fist kind, like the real fucking kind, like inner peace kind, like boundaries and working on your fucking mental health kind. But what do I know about that, right? Anyways, the oh man, see, just picture. See, that's what I mean. It's like I feel like I could go like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, just knowing the smile that would be on his fucking face as he drops his keys in his hand to open the door to his own place, his own garage and shit, and go inside and just sit down. Like I feel like he would sit on his couch and not think or do anything. Like it'd be like the for the first month, he'd go to work, he'd come home at the end of the day, and he'd wash his hands, and he'd take his after work poop, and then he would go and sit on his couch, and there'd be no noises, and there'd be nothing on, and he'd just sit there, and he would be like the happiest man in the world. Like, and I know that's true. It's funny. I can't wait for him to hear this. I don't know if he's like spying directly or if it's Karmic's keeping him super busy or what or when he'll hear it. But I know he's gonna be like, she knows me so fucking well. And I'm gonna be like, I know. Why do you think I'm not worried about you actually being in there? I just want to make sure you stay alive. Like, oh man. But no, like, I don't know. It's funny though because thinking about see that's like the dating stuff in the middle too. I don't know. See, like where do I manifest me a young gentleman that's like I don't want to copy my Cabot. And even if I could, I wouldn't try. You know what I mean? Like I like that he is so irreplaceable. It's like me too. Like I didn't even think I had that about me. But especially when I started being really me, like authentically me, and being like, hey, if somebody else has feelings about that, I can empathize, but they're not my responsibility. They're that person's responsibility, you know? And no, I don't mean just being a dick, but like, or not, but, and you can still say someone else's feelings are not your responsibility without having a lack of empathy for that they might have feelings about stuff you're doing. It's codependent to not do anything or nothing or all things or to do the right thing because it might hurt someone else's feelings. And also, I mean, it's one of the spiritual lessons I've been learning over the past 22 months is that well, a couple lessons. Treat adults like adults. Even adults who are acting like children, treat them like adults. And then the other thing too is like, okay, thought train. Why did you have to do that to me? It was going to be so brilliant too. Whatever. So I want to go back to the complete control thing though. Like that one, that one was so funny too. Like that's one of the things he brought up so much. That's the other thing too is like thinking about like the dating and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't want to bring those dynamics in. And like I said, I don't want to imitate or copy Rudy. That's ironically where he got caught. Like he picked a Gemini with borderline and typically they make new personalities for each person. It's kind of part of the disorder. And so like I know that in his own brattiness, like he used me to play jealousy games with her. So of course she went to mimic me. And that made his own fucking job harder. It's so funny too. I started to wonder if the other pirates and exes might also have borderline because they all started to copy me, which is really funny. It was like, wait a minute, why is everybody trying to get Rudy but me? And yet everybody's saying I'm the one trying to get him. And then the irony is like everybody will be all like, well, don't you want him? And I'm like, well, yeah, who wouldn't fucking want him? Look at y'all fucking all over him, but I'm not trying to get him. For one thing, I don't have to. Like, didn't you notice he came to me the first few fucking times, the first, like, I don't know, like 20 fucking times, and then we were together for like 15 years? Like, I don't have to go after him. I've told him that so many fucking times. Like, don't you worry, honey, I ain't coming to you, you're coming to me. Like, and I'm a Capricorn and I got other shit that I can do in the meantime. Like, that's called fucking security, you know? That's called emotional stability. Why would I need to chase that man? He's doing his fucking thing. He's, like, and I can go through all my own weird fucking emotions at different times about it, but that's where I consistently sit is like when he wants to be with me, he will come here and be with me. Like, I don't see what's so complicated about that, though I suppose if I was thinking like an insecure pirate, I probably would be like, oh yeah, because they're always worried about, they think of people as resources rather than actually people. They think they can own them and that there's some weird thing that people can't control themselves and shit like that. I don't fucking know. But I'm not in that space. Like, I can hold love for something and still observe things and still look at all the fucking data and be open to all outcomes. Or like, yeah, if he wants to come this way, that's fine. Like, for one thing, like, I'm fucking single. Why would I have to tell him no? Like, we've already been through this. Like, whatever. Like, you gonna get yourself into trouble over there? That's fine. But my concern is what's going on with the kiddos. And then for me, it's like, what am I doing for me? Because that's what everybody else told me to do. Do what is best for me. And like, most of the time, it doesn't even get into dating, but it was funny when we were talking about it in therapy and stuff, like just me being open to stuff. I'm like, no, I am, but I mean, I'm not going to have less than I had. It's just stupid. Like, most people don't even think about it. And then, like, watching Rudy and everybody else the way they've been fucking doing dating, like, I swear, everybody fucking downgrades. Like, even Rudy's ex-wife, as far as I can tell, like, downgraded from him. And it's like, are none of you paying attention to your own fucking patterns? No, probably not. But it's like, your life satisfaction would probably go up greatly if you worked on your metacognition just a little bit more rather than just, oh, who can I fuck that'll pay my bills, like that. I mean, I get the loops of old stuff and the resources, but you really just like, I don't know, I would rather go for contentment and inner peace and love than where like I don't know, I still, you know what, my standards are higher. I don't really want to be in a box in an alley because I used to say I could be like, especially with my roadie buddies, like we could live in a box in an alley and I make it home for you as long as you keep me warm at night. Like we pretty much done that sort of thing in the past. And like, but now it's like, no, it at least has to be a really big box on like a really sunny all the time kind of beach, but there's some shade. No. Like, I don't know, like money's never really been a thing for me, and like it's not like, man, I've been broke a lot of my fucking life. It's so funny too because some people are like, but your parents have money. It's like, oh honey, do you want to be their fucking child and see what I fucking mean? Like there's some money there, but you ain't gonna fucking, you couldn't stand the strings attached to that fucking money. Trust me, honey, And then the other side of it too is it's not as much as you think. Like it's really not, and it's not as easy to get either. I'm not necessarily complaining about having that resource. It's just like what is it, the whole grass is greener on the other side shit, or people being super fucking envious of things. It's like, dude, like you've got shit that I don't fucking have, but you don't see me sitting here going, well, you have that. Like, why do you spend your time being a whiner like that? That doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't know, not to me anyways. Like, I'd rather be thinking about the whole like, okay, what's another dynamic that's like complete control, and how do I find someone to date that also does not want a weird codependency sort of dating thing or multiple. I'm open to like solo polyamory, but then it's like if I'm not doing relationships in the codependent way before, then what does that look like? Like, I mean, interdependence is there, but there's so very few good examples of interdependence. In fact, now I think about it, I don't think I know any couples whatsoever or any polyamorous dynamics that are an example of healthy interdependence. Oh, yeah, no, I can't think of any off the top of my head. I think this is one of those I'm gonna have to make a map for it. Like with some of the other things, like so many people are like, do it this way, no, do it that way, do it this way. And I'm like, I can see so many fucking holes in every fucking direction that y'all are talking about. And all of y'all are like, you're repeating the same fucking cycle all over and over in the past. Like the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And it's like, I don't know, like that's the thing that made me laugh the most over the past 22 months, like both in terms of what to do about Rudy when I was thinking about getting back to relation, like pursuing a little bit in the beginning, and then on the other side, what do I do about trying to do co-parenting while I know he's still in an immature place, and I know that Tina's gonna, like, she's already hella fucking insecure just because I breathe and she can't hold a candle to me and shit, and it's just like, that ain't my fault, honey, work on yourself. I'm not trying to do that to you. Maybe the universe is showing you an example of how you could be so you could feel better. Like, don't be fucking hating on me. You're just wasting your breath anyways. But like, there are way better things. Like, give your attention to Rudy. Like, he probably wouldn't be in a fucking suicidal place if you were spending any fucking time at home being a fucking good woman to him. Like, I know your fucking story too. You're an ex of his, and it's just like the fucking others. Like, if any of those fucking exes were women enough to actually care about themselves and actually put genuine, not fake sweetness, not like love bombing, not like, ooh, let me come and be all physical with you. No, like self-respect, like intimacy, like honor, integrity, shit like that. Actually fucking cooking, things like that. Like, they're not that complicated, and men really fucking appreciate them, especially when you don't turn it into the other, like, toxically, I'm all housewifey kind of shit. Like, be yourself. Don't try to be anybody else, and just be a better version of yourself every fucking day. Don't copy people. Don't be fucking insecure. And, like, and that's part of the problem too, is that, like, I mean, any guys that I meet, they're all in a fucking similar insecure place, you know? And it's like, I don't know, I'm in the place of like, oh, there's plenty of fish in the sea. I'm sure that I will come across the plenty of guys that are in that space and that are attractive enough and aren't like, I don't know, like, I have a hard time now when I look at any sort of guys that have similar, like Rudy usually had the goatee and stuff like that, or curly hair, and I'm like, no, no, that would make me miss him, and I don't want to be like touching some other guy's hair and being like, I miss my Cabbit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like her copying me. I'm like, how does he do that? Like, how can he sit there and like have her, like, he's told me about some of the stuff that she does that is obviously fucking copying me, but he's funny, he's gullible sometimes. It's like, you don't even get it. Like, you say that you know all these women's games, and here they're playing them right in front of you, and you're like, it's like airplane over the head, like, meow. I'm like, but that's part of what I find so adorable about him sometimes. Like, one of the brightest men in the world, and yet also one of the most gullible. And what's funny is, like, his pirates will tell him that I'm gullible, and I'm like, oh no, honey, I was choosing to be really kind and polite before. Now I'm still being kind, but I mean, if everybody's gonna be rude anyways, why the fuck am I being polite? You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like, y'all say do what's best for me. What's best for me is to speak my fucking mind, which I wasn't afraid to do in the first place, but definitely, definitely felt bullied out of with the death threats and shit like that. That wasn't cool. That's very cowardly too. It's like, what? You can dish it, but you can't take it? Oh, did I say that? Yeah, I did fucking say that. That's alright. Anyways, like, I think about that though, like with the dating thing. It's like, I like, it couldn't be. I don't know. Like, I know so much about dating psychology. It's like, usually when you date someone after a longer relationship, you either get somebody that's just like, well, this is what people do when they're not conscious of things. They're not like metacognitive of the shit that they're doing. They're just wandering along like, do do. Oh, there's an eggplant. I'll take that one. Right. Oh, can it pay the bills? Awesome. Like, but me, I'm like, okay. Psychology says it's more likely to be somebody who's either complete opposite to the person you were last with, or like the totally identical version of them. And it's like, well, I mean, I suppose I could just explore either one of those. Like, it would have to be the complete opposite. But then it's like, then I would know, though, that I'm picking someone that's kind of a complete opposite, and that makes it weird. It's funny because there'll be times that, like, I'll be out doing karaoke, and I swear, like, even people that go to karaoke bars, like, they're all there thirsty, like, looking for somebody to do. I'm like, I am here for karaoke. Like, I don't necessarily, like, get away from me, but I like, make it very obvious. Like, I'm here for the songs. Y'all can sit and fucking chat. I've even turned away women that were trying to, like, get me to, you gotta come over here. I'm like, no, I am here to do karaoke, okay? Ask the fucking bartender. They know me. I am here to do karaoke. They called me to come in to do karaoke, okay? Like, that's why I am here. You want to talk to me in between? I'm cool with that. But I'm not like attached to the people-y thing, like I could do both, you're okay with that. My attention for a little bit, I promise. Like I said that to a few people, especially when I was in Idaho. Like, it's all right. You can live without like 10 minutes of my attention. It probably won't even take that long. The songs are only 3 minutes. And then I gotta wait 15 minutes for my next song. So you'll have me back for a minute. But that don't mean you can keep me. I will get up whenever the fuck I feel like it and go wherever the fuck I want, even if we're in the middle of a conversation. I don't typically do that, but I have plenty of times where I'm like, if I'm not enjoying the conversation, it was so different for me. In the past, I used to try to just sit and be quiet. My ADHD would like go and my mind would be all on a different Cabbit trail. And instead, now I'm like, when I get to that point where my mind starts to wander, I'm like, what else can I do? Like, I'm gonna go get a food. I'm gonna go out front and have a smoke. I've had a few people be like, "Why don't you smoke back here?" I'm like, I don't know. I feel like going out front and having a smoke. They're all like, "All right, whatever." Like works for me. It got me out of the conversation that I didn't want to keep listening to. But then it's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's like who would like the people even that'll come towards me. It's like either there'll be something about them that reminds me of him, and I'm like, no. And or they'll be so far opposite and I'm like, "Ooh, no." Like, no. And so it's like, where's that ooey middleness? Like they'd have to be just enough like him that I like them, but not enough that I notice that they're like him, at least not for a while. I don't know. See, I couldn't do that either though. I'm too erudite for that. Like part of the fun of it is like I want somebody that I could sit and ask all my weird little questions to. And I don't know, most guys just aren't there. I'm sure Cabot's right. In fact, I know he's felt similarly. I still love it when he sent me a thing about. I have a screenshot of it somewhere, but I loved it. It was like this 4 paragraph thing about walruses and kings and the ocean and how there's like paradoxes. I can't even remember all of it. It was so fucking brilliant. I'll have to look it up. I like looking it up sometimes just because it's like man, see, even I'm not that fucking good sometimes. Like, where do I find that? It's like, how do you go back from that? Like, that's adorable. Like, a man that would be around other people, and he definitely is not the type to call anybody stupid, but he'll have moments where, like, he's used to everyone calling him stupid, and then he realizes how fucking incredibly smart he is, especially after spending 20 years around me. You know what I mean? Like we learned so much together. And that was such a funny moment too, to have him admit that he missed our intellectual conversations because that was probably one of the things like he took for granted the most. Especially when he was trying to be not be accountable or trying to like hide some pirates affair or shit so he could feel like he was getting the attention from them he wanted. And it's like, no, come and have these intellectual conversations with me. But I don't know. See, like it can't be a copy of that though. I don't even. What's funny is I say that, and it's like there is no copy. So I know intrinsically I'm never gonna find another him, and I'm comfortable with that. But it feels like the universe keeps bringing me these like almost him ones. It's like when I was a teenager, like I met him because he came to see his nephew who's a grade ahead of me in school, and his nephew is just I don't know more of what you'd consider a stereotypical dude, and like they used to like to pull out like J.C. Penney's magazines or like teen magazines and be like, look near porn, and it's like I feel like he went and like found a woman that was like it's a near madam, like a near Amanda, like a near me. And it's like, oh man, that's gotta hurt. Like she keeps saying she gonna do shit like me, and I wasn't even necessarily that fantastic at it. Like I'm way better at that stuff now because I was like when I called for the separation, I was like, what do I want to work? Like, what do I, whoa, like, I got to get my head out of this. I got to work on me. Like, first of all, the advice I gave him, if I can't fucking take it myself, how is it valuable, And like, that matters to me because I have, integrity. And like, I started looking at, like, what was the advice that he had for me? I want to take that feedback first because that's the most valuable in terms of like, stuff not in my head because he was with me for fucking forever. And then Like I think I did a talk in one of my like how to be a lady or how to love a man. I don't know, I can't remember, but I was talking about like you want to try to get to like once you get your wild oats sown and shit like that, you want to get to where you're more the same person both in relationship and out of relationship. Otherwise, you end up feeling resentful when you're in one or the other situation. It's not that you have to be the same, but like be pretty consistent. And like I realized, you know what? I was like after being with him and stuff, like most of my issues before were trying to be what like everybody wanted me to be, like trying to be a fucking chameleon. And I was like, what do I want? Like, what do I want, you know? And it's funny too, because it even got brought up by a friend later, and I was like, see, this is great. Like, Spirit is helping me with what I was already thinking about. And then, like, I started thinking, like, you know what? I do, like, okay, I don't necessarily like the Doris Day fashion statement of like a housewife, but I like the vibe to a degree. Like, I like to be a little more Morticia than that, and a little more like Dolly Parton and a little more Melissa Etheridge, but like, but still kind of Doris Day ish. And they're like, I like making cookies. I like cooking the food. We had an argument one time that I was like, it's like I just wish you would tell me that you wanted to be like stay at home mom. And like I remember arguing it too. I was like, well, but I can't because we have to work and you're paying for all your pirates and shit. And all the time I'm like going, I should have just taken him up on that. I said, you know what, let's just do that. Like I'll write and do the kids, and I like doing things. I like doing romantic-y things for you, and I like doing this and that. Though I'm not unhappy about the way things are went. The story is much more riveting this way. Which reminds me, I wonder if he still has the rivet gun. That's so funny. I bet he's pulled it out recently. The synchronicity that it would pop into my head. I bet you. Anyways, it's it's funny though to like think about. I mean, one, it'd have to be somebody who was not too much like him, not too much not like him, and also would be okay. Like coming into like hashtag why I'm still single. What man, what gentleman that could match or beat my level of emotional stability and health and intellect would volunteer to spend time getting to know me attached to all this stuff with my Cabbit who still won't let me go. His family who like energetically won't let me go. Like they're still, I'm sure they're still, because they're fucking mad that I'm like doing my healing out loud and telling the truth about everything. And it's like, hey, you can't fucking have it both ways. Either I fucking let it all go so I can let everything go, let him go like you're fucking saying, or I can hold on to it and hold it in and keep fucking holding on to it and keep playing your fucking pirate games. Like I think I'm gonna go for what you fucking told me to do. Do what is best for me. Like talking about it. Anyways, the complete control thing though is like it's so funny that now we sit in a situation to where the only one who's got complete control of anything is me, and it's just over me because I was like it's so funny. There's been so many jokes like what is it? Because his one of his Rudy's signature things is like you can't like stop trying to control me or you can't control me. And I remember when he started that up again, like after I'd called for separation, I'm like, honey, first of all, you're not controllable, especially not with that Leo Venus. Like, you're fucking not. You're just not. And even if you were, that's not my thing. And then later on, too, it's like, control's y'all's thing. Like, y'all are too fucking insecure to release control. Like, I intentionally worked on my emotional security because y'all kept saying I had a thing with control, which is funny because I kind of did, but definitely not to that level and definitely not about the same shit. So it was like, okay, once I saw that and was able to own him, it was like, oh yeah, like, and then it got me to thinking about how it's like, I still remember bringing up stuff like that, like when we started talking about the aspect of like, even the sadism and the masochism of various different things. And it was like, no, it's okay to want certain things and stuff. And we got into the idea of control. And like, it's so funny to me. It's like, I know that he likes a certain aspect of it in his relationship, and in my head, and I'm still thinking about like when we started talking about it, it's like it's not my thing. Like, I mean, I like to have control of myself. I always have. That's part of why I've never been an alcoholic. I've never been a drug addict. I've never had like those things because I really enjoy having sound judgment. Because then, like at the end of each year, I can go, man, I made a lot of really great decisions. You know what I mean? And then I don't have a whole lot of stories that are like, man, I really got wasted, or I passed out a lot, or I blacked out a lot, and I don't know how the fuck I got in this situation. Those aren't really my favorite kind of stories, you know? I prefer the, man, look at how many, like, and that one was a guess, and that one was an educated guess. I'm really glad it worked out. That one, I could have thought better about, but that's okay because the next three made up for that one, and then all together, you know what I mean? Like that's, I don't know. I've always kind of been that way. I can't say I had the vocabulary to explain it that way, but that's just been me, you know? And so like it's funny to think about stuff like that. It's like it's a required when you're with insecure women, but when you're with a lady like me, it's like, well, I can play control games with you if you want to. Like, I mean, that sounds kinky to me, though it's not because I need to play those games. Like it gets so funny. It's like later already tried to play it. Like, well, you want to complete control, and I'm going. I mean, one, that was a kink dynamic that we agreed to while we were together that I would not think would apply outside of it. But I love that you're still giving me complete control. I remember when I sent him that message, like, I love that you're still giving me that power, even though I didn't assume any of that shit was gonna be there afterwards. Like, well, how can I play with this? You know? And, oh man, he's so funny. We're both so funny. All right, y'all. Thanks for listening if you decided to, and bless you all.